Nkrumah made a profound statement that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. What it meant was that Ghana was too small a country to survive in the type of environment full of hawks and colonialists, and to stand up as that small country and fight to win economic independence. So he knew political independence was important, but the most important thing was economic independence. And he realized that we could not achieve economic independence unless other African countries are emancipated and then we come together. That positions us to be able to fight and gain our independence. And so immediately after independence, Osagyefo devoted his energies and the resources of this country to help other African countries under colonialism to fight and emancipate themselves. And his record, he's known to have given Ghanaian scholarships to all freedom fighters across Africa so that they will be able to travel. He's known to have established training camps for freedom fighters from all over Africa to train right here in Ghana so they can go and fight their colonial masters and gain independence. His achievement was that within the first 10 years of Ghana having independence, as many as 30 African countries also gained independence. And this role is unmatched by any other African personality. The second role that Nkrumah is noted for was his role in the struggle against neo-colonialism. Because there is colonialism where the foreign dominating power takes control of your politics. That one was achieved at independence. But the more dangerous one and the more difficult one to fight against is neo-colonialism, where Africans, having won our independence, the Europeans still found ways of keeping us dependent on them. One of these was to keep us divided. And then we will be fighting wars against our neighbors whilst they looted our resources. One was to make sure that we treated our neighboring countries as opponents and made it easier for us to collaborate with our former colonial masters than even collaborating with other countries with whom we shared borders. And Nkrumah realized that we can get over this only by uniting as African countries, so that when we are together, we become more powerful and we will be able to fight against the foreign neo-colonial domination. In that area too, I don't consider that Osagyefo had any match. And besides this, Osagyefo's role as a founding member of the non-aligned movement also stands him out as African of the millennium. Because you know how the world was divided in those days between the West, as represented by America, Europe, and their friends, and then the East, as represented by USSR. Nkrumah realized that it would not help Africa to be aligned with either side. And so the way to be able to compete favorably with them will be to gather all third world countries into a movement that will be formidable enough to stand the mind of either the East or the West. And Nkrumah and the likes of the first president of India and Egypt came together and then formed the non-aligned movement. And so you realize that even though Nkrumah was preaching socialism, he still maintained very close links with the West and was able to tap into the resources of both the East and West to develop Ghana. And so that makes Nkrumah stand up. He was asked whether Ghana will go East or West. His response was that Ghana is not going left or right, East or West. Ghana is moving forward. It meant that when he realized there's something that he can take from the West, he will not hesitate. He will go for it. If there's another thing he can take from the East, he will not hesitate. He will go for it. The purpose is to make sure Ghana is developed. As at the time of Nkrumah's overthrow, having realized that it was becoming very difficult to get all the Africans together at one event to declare African unity, the same way as he studied United States of America. He thought that bringing United States of Africa would be the key to push Africa forward. It was becoming difficult. So what he did was that let us begin by forming a union of 2 states, then to 3 states, to form the nucleus of African unity so that other countries can be joining. And that's how Ghana, Guinea, Mali was founded. As at the time of his overthrow, Congo DR was on the way to joining. But alas, his dream and his mission was cut short by that ruthless coup d'etat that happened on 24th February 1966. Now, I cannot speak about Nkrumah being the greatest African of the millennium without relating it to his legacy in Ghana. Ghana is known to be part of Africa. So if one person is described as the greatest African of the millennium, is it not surprising that we Ghanaians don't consider him to be the greatest Ghanaian of the millennium? Is Ghana not part of Africa?